What's going on, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here, and today I'm joined by, in my opinion, one of the best analysts in all of Major League Baseball. He's an analyst for your Los Angeles Dodgers, was with the Angels for 20 seasons, played a couple years in the show, Mr. Jose Mota. Thanks for rocking with us today, my man.
I am thrilled to be here. So now that you said all that, can I leave? I'm good.
Hey, he's elite. He's one of the best in the game. His opinion matters.
Thanks so much.
A junkie of Major League Baseball. That's why I'm so happy to have you in. Got about 75 questions to ask you about the upcoming season.
Time. It's an off day.
Off day. We're going to touch on a lot of topics here, but the first thing I want to ask you about was your experience in Japan. You were there with Steven Nelson. You were covering, you were broadcasting, you did 12 games. What was that experience like, and do you have a deeper appreciation now for the World Baseball Classic?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, D-Mac, when you think about baseball and the many experiences I've had since I was a child, as a son, then I became a player, then I became a broadcaster, and then you play to these audiences and you go to different venues. Nothing compares to what I experienced in Tokyo, because it was pretty much an example of who they are as a culture. That's the first thing. The passion they have for their athletes, the game, and the respect they have for pretty much everybody that comes around. I mean, they made us feel like we were home from the day you land, from the minute you get your ride to the hotel, and just the way they received us at the ballpark, and just the way the crowd interacted with the players. I mean, interacted, different than what we see here. But they were there for batting practice, with their concessions already bought, sitting in their seats with their phones out to watch BP. I mean, 40,000 people watching BP. Never seen it before, ever. Okay, and then on top of that is the silence. Like, one of our stars is coming up to BP, Shohei Ohtani is coming up, and they all go silent. He hits the ball, it's like, whoa! And then during the game, as Nelly and I are calling the game, and Steven Nelson was fantastic, by the way, we're looking at each other going, there's silence going on every time Shohei delivers a pitch, or Yamamoto, or Sasaki, and I'm, wait a minute, looking at each other going, maybe we shouldn't talk. And that's what they do. So they're so caught up in velocity, they like the radar guns. So when one of the big guys obviously is about to throw triple digits, they just go silent, like a golf clap kind of thing, like gallery, and they watch a scoreboard. Then they react, whoa! Same thing when the big boys are hitting, and pretty much everybody there was a big boy.
Yeah, really.
And they just go quiet between pitches, and that's a sign of respect. And in fact, I asked a young fan, I said, what is it that your parents taught you about this silence going on? He said, respect to help our players concentrate better. Where have you ever heard that before? Huh?
Wow. A true 10th man. I mean, savvy fans,
Yes.
They were in their seats for the game.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to ask you about Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani, the superstar for the World Baseball Classic. I was almost thinking of it as when Michael Jordan played for the Olympics in 1992. It brought more attention to the tournament, gave it more credibility. Well, Shohei Ohtani, he's a superstar here in Major League Baseball, but how would you describe his star power in Japan?
We're talking beyond, we talk about, a rock star. This goes beyond. This is like Elvis Presley. This is like the Beatles. This is way beyond anything. This is like a prime minister walking in. That's how big he is. Now, he doesn't act the part because Shohei is a pretty humble guy, but just by talking to people, and in fact, I'll tell you this. Shohei is a good friend of mine, and we go back to the end of 2017. Shohei is my Japanese teacher, by the way, so I picked up more words from Shohei. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. But I asked fans about that, and they said we identify with him for simple reasons. Number one, the smile. I mean, his presence. And number two, he's a unicorn. He's one of us that decided to challenge pretty much the standard of the league and said, I want to leave early. And he did. Shohei was not one of these guys that was posted, but his impact globally is beyond anything I've ever seen. And I've seen the Pujols of the world, going back to, obviously the Hank Aaron's and players like that in that generation. But when Pujols came in, and then Trout comes in, and the Bryce Harpers, but this guy it goes way beyond because of his personality and obviously his superb talent that we have not seen ever. So no comparisons to Babe Ruth. It does not compare to Babe Ruth. this goes way beyond what anything that Babe Ruth did when it comes down to being a two-way player.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Babe Ruth, back in the day, if you look at Ruth, he didn't even want to be a two-way player. He basically was like, told the media, hey, I can't do that. It's not sustainable to be a power hitter, to be a pitcher. Right. Shohei has embraced this. He wants to be that guy. It's nice to see you have his number on your phone. You text him, demand a trade to the Dodgers. I'm hoping, of course, you were the Angels for 20 years. You became a Dodger. I hope he takes the Jose Mota career path. He's an Angel and becomes a Dodger now. Got to talk about Shohei's season and what he's up against, because it's a lot up in the air with the Angels and that franchise. He could be moved during the year. He's going to be the biggest free agent we've ever seen next offseason. Just kind of what do you think is going through his mind heading into this year?
Shohei is going to concentrate on being Shohei himself and taking care of the business on the field. And Shohei has a very good team around him that pretty much keeps him grounded, from his parents to his agent to the many advisors that he has. But because he's such a simple guy, it's all about one thing. He just wants to play baseball and be his best. So there's going to be a lot more distractions. If the Angels are not doing well around the trading deadline, his name's going to be all over for a month before that, right? And this guy wants to win. I mean, this guy wants to win. And this goes back to his days in high school when he wanted to be a player that was going to be challenged in the next level. But he wants to win in the worst way. And I think it shows by the way that he was able to adjust to the United States. When he came to America, man, that spring training in 2018, it was ugly.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, I'm not worried about my numbers right now. He could not pitch well. He did not hit well. He goes, I want to prepare for the season. And he kept that focus the entire time. And we're going, we're following here 50 people every single day, and they're worried about you. He's like, I'm concentrating on one thing, about helping my team win. And by doing that, I got to prepare better. So he's going to be pulling so many directions, but I guarantee you one thing. His eyes are going to be on one thing: the target when he pitches and the baseball when he's trying to hit.
Yeah, I think that's what impresses me so much, is that everything surrounding him. There's so much electricity, all this energy, there's all these distractions potentially, but he focuses on the day-to-day, getting rest in between starts, going out there and being a dominated, designated hitter. But one thing you said is he wants to win. Yes. And my pitch to Shohei Ohtani is the Dodgers, 10 straight postseason appearances. That's the third most in Major League Baseball history. This franchise gives him the best opportunity to win now. 28 years old, I think the league needs to see him on the game's biggest stage. So I feel good about Shohei Ohtani going to LA. I want to see Showtime with the Dodgers. But another guy I wanted to ask you about was a pitcher we talked about a little bit before this, and that was Sasaki. Now, he is a phenom. Rōki Sasaki threw 29 fastballs, 26 were over 100 miles per hour. His average velo is 100.5 miles per hour, topping out at 101.9. What were your takeaways from him? What were your impressions? Do you think he's going to be a superstar one day?
Oh, he is a superstar right now. I mean, this guy went out there and threw a perfect game last year. Then the next outing, he's got 8 perfect innings. His managers takes him out because, worried about his arm. But what I saw from this kid at 21 years old is pretty much something I haven't seen before at that age when it comes to domination and maintaining. There's sometimes guys that you say, well, I saw him throw 100, 101, but to maintain that is what he does. And beyond that, his pitchability. This guy knows how to pitch. I mean, it's not just throwing the baseball. And go back and look at the way Team Japan performed on the mound. Look at the amount of walks. They filled the zone. And they just have the philosophy of saying, hey, you don't have to be too fine. You need to challenge the strike zone. But the way they practice, and we're talking here, Doug, about bullpen sessions, they go over 100 pitches because they want perfection. It's not just like, do your bullpen 35, 40 pitches. No, they want perfection. So they're trying to hit that fastball in the outer spot and expand a little bit more. And that's what you see them do in the game. They're splitters, okay? The split fingers they throw are not just split fingers that drop. They make him look sometimes like sliders by design, or sometimes like a screwball by design. So it tells you a lot about how he's been able to capture and pretty much put all that into practice at a very young age. Remember that he also has a very challenging upbringing with his father and grandparents dying in that horrible tsunami. And his mind is one that truly is unaffected by anything. And he is a true star right now. I cannot wait to see what happens. I believe he's eligible after 2027 if he waits. Yeah. But, man, the day that he pitched in Tokyo, I talk about the fans' presence, right? But I'm looking behind home plate going, scout,
Yeah.
assistant general manager, and everything was there. And why not? These are premier talents. And I think overall, when people ask me about the WBC, and fortunately, I've been able to broadcast every single one of them since 2006, I said, without the WBC, there's a lot of star players right now from other countries that would not have been here. Because now, as I mentioned, scouts, all these players are now being evaluated, not on international competition that there's now the premier players involved. Now it's like, no, against major league players, now we can rate them a little bit better, grade them a lot easier, and see what they're made of. And Sasaki, my goodness, as they told us to say Rōki Sasaki is an unreal talent, man. At 21 still.
You got me excited. I need to see Shohei and Sasaki on the Dodgers. They'll be the best duo in LA since Kobe and Shaq. You mentioned that splitter, 13.1 inches of run, more run than a marathon. He's going to be a superstar. Can't wait to see what he does in this show.